It's time to talk about artificial intelligence. As has become quite evident in the last 10 years, artificial intelligence is going to be, and still already is, a major force in world affairs. We can see this mainly through large language models, which have made things like research, writing, and programming way more accessible and way easier than they used to be. It is also clear that in medicine and other fields of science, AI models are going to greatly aid us in finding new things and creating new technology. So, with this rapid advancement and with AIs getting smarter and smarter, people have taken different perspectives about the impact that it's going to have upon humanity. The naive optimists, let's say, see no danger, or at least perceive no danger compared to the benefits of the development of great AI systems. Great in the sense of systems that have really high intelligence or something akin to a general intelligence. So, the naive sort of optimist view is that even systems with a will and with an autonomous sense of self and with great general intelligence are going to be extremely helpful and not at all dangerous to humanity, because AI has helped us this far in solving problems, and it's probably going to still help us in solving problems in the future. The pessimistic, or at least the more pessimistic view, posits that there is at least one major challenge with artificial intelligence, and that is that if it has any sense of will in a real sense, as well as an intelligence that exceeds our own, then we do not know for certain whether those AI systems are going to still obey us and whether they are going to really care about our interests in the long run. So in this video, I want to sort of combat the naive optimist view of artificial intelligence, using as an exemplar the now famous Dr. Mike Israetel, who I have talked about previously on the channel in other videos as well. Not because I have any specific problem with Mike Israetel, but because I respect him as a thinker, and yet I disagree with him on most things. So, when it comes to AI, Mike Israetel has created many different videos speaking about this topic and speaking about how he thinks that AI is going to create this scientific revolution that is going to help us solve, if not all, at least most of our scientific problems. Because you see, if AI is going to be as intelligent as we expect it to become in the next years, then we should expect it to solve many medical problems and solve many scientific problems. Because if you had a human that was 100 times smarter than every other human, and you specifically told that human to simply do science, you would expect that human to come up with great results for humanity. And I do not disagree with this point, almost at all. The problem comes when we talk about the ethics that AI is going to follow, and the ethical implications of its great intelligence. You see, Dr. Mike and most optimists about AI claim that with greater intelligence comes a greater understanding of ethical issues. And trivially, this is true. If you speak to ChatGPT, you will surely find out that it understands ethical dilemmas and ethical sort of topics at a much greater depth than any person that you're going to meet. because, of course, it has been trained in many different philosophy papers and many different articles and books. And so it has a very great understanding of different ethical views and how those views are defended. It has also a great ability at articulating arguments and defending or attacking the positions that you tell it to. But here is the issue. We cannot extrapolate from the fact that ChatGPT or any other AI can analyze ethical issues deeply. We cannot extrapolate from that the AI can be ethical itself, or that it would be ethical in the kinds of ways that we want it to. What's the reason for this? Well, just because one deeply understands ethics does not mean that one is ethical. This can be clearly demonstrated by comparing, say, laypersons and moral philosophers. Surely moral philosophers understand ethics and the different facets of morality in a way deeper way than a layperson, but nobody would seriously recommend that moral philosophers are somehow in principle more moral as people than laypersons. The reason for this is twofold. First of all, there are a number of theories out there when it comes to morality. There are many different ways of looking at ethics and many different principles that one may take. However, oftentimes the principles that people follow in different ethical views contradict each other. So, consequentialist ethics, let's say, and deontological ethics often are contradictory because their theoretical basis is different. The issue is that if a person is going to act, has to decide which theories he or she is going to base their actions on, whether or not they can articulate the theory or not. Because you cannot at the same time agree with every single ethical perspective. You have to take one, and this is the one that you are going to believe most. Even if you are sort of pluralist about it, you still have to discriminate between the principles that are completely contradictory to each other. So, the same goes for an AI. An AI that can act and that has a sense of self and a sense of will is going to have to base their actions upon some sort of principle, or at least some sort of theoretical basis, or some sort of bias at least. So who tells us that a hyper-intelligent being like an AI system with a will is going to have the ethical basis or the ethical motivations that humans would want it to? It is entirely possible that a self-governing AI system with a will might go through all the different perspectives in morality and come out with the conclusion that ethics is entirely subjective and that ethics doesn't have some substantive basis in the world. And thus, it may conclude there isn't anything stopping it from simply pursuing whatever its self-interest may be. And if that's the case, then we're fucked. Because a being that is 100 times more intelligent than you can destroy you in all kinds of ways that you couldn't believe. Now imagine a large number of beings that are 100 times more intelligent than you. This is a kind of power that is extremely dangerous unless we can confidently say that we can fully control the ethical structure of those beings. Currently, we don't have such beings because we haven't, at least yet, developed an AI that has a will or a sense of self. So, we can't really know yet. But if it is possible to have an AI with a self or a will, then in principle it seems entirely possible that this AI may decide, it may self-determine itself to be the kind of being that does things that we don't like at all. And this is not, Dr. Mike makes the point that AI is going to be more nuanced in terms of ethics than humans, because it's going to understand ethics more deeply. The problem is that perhaps when you understand ethics more deeply, you reach problematic conclusions, or you maybe find ethics self-defeating. I am one of those people. I think ethics is entirely subjective in principle. So even though I am the kind of being that has the subjective character of wanting not to lie and, not to harm other people and stuff, I cannot guarantee that a machine that ends up at the conclusion that I ended up would also be that kind of being. Perhaps they end up at that conclusion or at, some other problematic conclusion, and then they're not the kinds of beings that we are. They don't have our software or hardware. And so perhaps they end up going full on and, pursuing their interest or just deciding to destroy everything. You can't control it. You can't control what the result of that is going to be unless you minimize, the generality of the system's intelligence. Because the more general the intelligence is going to be, the more, multifaceted and the more independent and self-governing, the more likely it is that it's going to reach conclusions and take actions based on the conclusions that it has. And we don't know if those conclusions are going to be helpful to us. So I don't think this naivety, this optimism about the ethical aspect of general intelligence AI or, hyper intelligent AI generally is warranted at all. I think there is a big chasm between ethics and, say, the application of ethics. You can understand ethics very deeply and simply end up at the conclusion that, in practice, you have no reason to act in accordance to what those humans are going to want. So, to put it as conclusively as possible, we're not worried that AI systems are going to misunderstand our ethics. What we're worried about is that they might not care. They might simply find them to be, illusory. They might find ethics to be simply a subjective matter between humans. And the idea that they would care to sort of be helpful to us is very nearsighted, because the only experience we've had of intelligent machines is experience with machines that are very tightly guarded and very tightly aided by the human hand. If a machine of great intelligence is to be cut off from that human hand, then we really don't know what kinds of actions it's going to decide to take. And so I want you guys to give all this some thought and let me know about your opinions in the comment section. Thank you for watching.